All right, we're back here. Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. 215-204-9449 is the number if you want to hop on board with us. We're recapping Super Bowl 48, and there's no one better to do it with than the former Mike of the Mad Dog host on WFAN in New York, now doing a fantastic job. Saw him this week on Radio Row with Sirius XM on the Mad Dog radio channel from 3 to 6 p.m., and that's our good buddy Christopher Mad Dog Russo. Dog, Zach Gelb and Jay Sr. in Philly. How are you?
Nice. How are you? Zach, good to hear from you. What's going on today, pal?
Well, it's great to hear from you as well. A little bit under the weather after last night's game. Didn't actually get home till 3 in the morning from the disaster of NJ Transit. But other than that, I thought New York and New Jersey did a fantastic job. Got lucky with the weather, as today it's snowing here in Philly and in New York. But let's get to it. Seattle's performance last night was remarkable. The defense was spectacular. You've seen many great defenses. Where does the Seattle defense rank among the all-time greats?
Well, I'm not going to put it up there at the Ravens. I'm not going to put it up there at the Bears. I know they played a very good offense, so you have to give them some credit there, and they were all over the place, and they did a superb job. But they didn't have the statistical prominence that those other defenses had during the course of the year. They had a superb game. Now, they were not great against San Francisco. Kaepernick hurt them big time in that Niner game, but they were certainly phenomenal yesterday. From a game perspective, Zach, a one-game thing, they were great. But I would not put them up from a seasonal scenario. I would not put them up there with some of the great defenses that I've seen. But yesterday against the big offense, they did a great job. They hit Denver all over the place. They smacked those receivers around. Manning wasn't very good. Denver was terrible all the way around. And they dominated the game in every shape, way, or form. Although, again, from a seasonal standpoint, that defense is not where, good defense, but it's not where the Ravens defense was and the Bears defense was in 85 and in 2000.
Seattle dominated every facet of the game just off the first snap that went over Manning's head. I don't even think Yao Ming could have caught that football. It was such a high snap, and the pressure was there early. And Manning's now 1-2 in the Super Bowl, a game under 500 in his playoff career. And a lot of people are going to continue to knock him for his playoff record. Fantastic regular season quarterback. He struggled in the postseason, does have a Super Bowl win. What does last night do to his legacy amongst the all-time greats?
Well, I mean, listen, he's a great player, but he's not in that top 5 or 6. It's absurd if you put him there. You don't put quarterbacks who are 11 and 12 with 1 Super Bowl and 3 appearances who is outplayed by Russell Wilson. You don't put him on that level. I don't want to kill Manning from the standpoint of last night, outside of the idea that when that game needed to be stabilized, when that game needed to be, when you needed a play made, when you needed a couple of first downs, when you needed a 20-yard pass play, when you needed a play to be made in the first half to sort of get their equilibrium and get Denver settled down, Manning could not do that. And that is the knock I would have on Manning from last night. He sagged his shoulders. He didn't dig deep. Brady digs deep. Staubach dug deep. Elway dug deep. Obviously, Bradshaw dug deep. He does not. Montana dug deep. He does not dig deep. He does not, figure out a way to, get something going. He's a great thoroughbred when everything is in operation, when everything is working well, when everything is in tune. He does a superb job. When things get a little off kilter, that's when Manning struggles. And Manning was terrible in the first half last night, and that's when they needed him to be okay, stabilize it, and he couldn't do it. That's the knock you'd have on Manning from last night. Listen, he's one of the great all-time players, but he's 6 or 7, maybe 8. As far as, he's not out of Graham, he's not Giannis, he's not Montana, he's not Elway, he's not Bradshaw, he's not Brady. He's in that next tier between 6 and 9 all-time. That's exactly where he deserves to be. He looked old last night. He'll play some more, but that's where he's going to be. Had a chance to erase the ghost, Zach, and wasn't able to do it.
Chris Mad Dog Russo joins us on the main event. Mad Dog, it's Chase Sr. A lot of conversation leading up to this game was that mobile quarterbacks can't win Super Bowls, and Russell Wilson in his second year joins a class of guys to win it in their second years alongside Kurt Warner, Tom Brady, and Ben Roethlisberger. He doesn't put up flashy numbers, but he does everything well. He manages the game. He's not a game manager because I believe that's a slap in the face, but what do you think of his performance? He's a great character guy, and moving forward, he's a great face for the NFL.
Well, listen, he did a good job last night. He didn't do a lot in the game. He played well when it was 29-0. He played well in those last two drives. Remember, first half they got a safety. They kicked a field goal with the short field position. He made a nice pass to Baldwin that set up another field goal. He had a short TD drive. They didn't do a ton in the game offensively. Now, he played well, no mistakes, don't get me wrong. Quarterback rating good, but he wasn't great in the game. He didn't win the game, but he did what he had to do. No mistakes, manage the game properly, make a couple of plays, get the ball to Harvin, throw the big pass to one pass to Baldwin, but he wasn't great in the game. Now, he's a good player. You love his running ability. You like the fact he scrambles well and all those things. But that defense makes the team. I mean, he and Lynch did nothing in the game. But their defense is the reason why they won the game last night. Wilson is an afterthought. As far as I'm concerned, Wilson's a bit of an afterthought as far as the game goes. That game was won because of their defense. Wilson had two good drives at the end. 29-0. He had two good drives. But again, that game was won more by their defense than anything else.
Amazing storyline with the Seattle Seahawks team is a lot of late-round picks and undrafted free agents are making a lot of noise on that squad. This is a team that only has 3 guys over the age of 30. Could this be a possible dynasty in the making with the Seattle Seahawks team?
Well, they got a big break because their quarterback doesn't make a lot of money. And when your quarterback doesn't make a lot of money, you can spread that money around to everybody else. That's like the Niners are a well-balanced team because their quarterback doesn't make a lot of money either. So as a result, in a year of the salary cap, the Niners can pay Kaepernick a small amount, and they can have a well-balanced offensive and defensive team, and Seattle can kind of do the same thing. They can build the team both ways. They have a nice blend where they don't have to have just the Broncos are built with their offense because Manning's making $25 million a year while Wilson's making $1 million a year. I mean, that gives you an extra $24 million to spend on other people. So that's a big advantage for them. That team, I don't see why that team's not going to be good down the road. They like Pete Carroll. He's a young coach. He's not going to retire. The GM is good. Got good ownership, good fan base. I would think Seattle, they're in a tough division, but I would think Seattle will be around for a good 3 to 5 years. I don't see, dynasty's tricky, but I could see Seattle around for the next 3 to 5 years. There's no question about it.
A few more, Christopher Mad Dog Russo, Sirius XM, and Dog. Pete Carroll won a national championship, coached with the Pats and the Jets. We all know his past, and now he won a Super Bowl last night, and it's a remarkable job. 21 out of the 53 players on the active rosters were undrafted free agents. What does it say about Pete Carroll and what he's able to get with a lot of late-round picks and undrafted guys?
He's good at it. People like to play for him. He's got a lot of enthusiasm that rubs off with players. He doesn't seem like he's got a ton of rules. He keeps things loosey-goosey. He's a good scheme guy defensively. He's got a program. He's got a format. Good things with Carroll. Carroll's a very good coach. Now, he left USC in shambles, but, he left them disastrous. But Carroll's a good coach. I mean, he deserved this opportunity. He got fired wrongly 1 year at Jets. He was okay with New England. Probably didn't get a fair shake there either, following Parcells. But he's done a good job. So I have no problem with Carroll. You give him all the credit in the world, no problem with whatsoever. Players play hard for him, and they like him. That's the most important thing.
Malcolm Smith was the first defensive player to win the Super Bowl MVP since Super Bowl 37 when Dexter Jackson claimed that award. 10 tackles, 69-yard interception return for a touchdown. He had 2 interception returns for touchdowns during this playoff run. Not a lot of people know of him because of the other big names on that defense, but what did you think of his performance last night?
Again, raise your hand if you knew who Malcolm Smith was before the game. So to give more, listen, to me that was a defense. If you could have given it to anybody on that defense, he caught the ball and ran it back 70 yards. He was around when Demaryius Thomas fumbled. They picked out of 2, so he recovered the 2 turnovers. But you could have given it to anybody on defense last night. It didn't have to necessarily be Malcolm Smith. You got to give it to somebody on the defensive part of the game. That was a defensive win. So somebody on defense had to win the MVP. So I have no problem with the choice. But again, you could have given it since he was in the right place at the right time on a couple of occasions. That's why he wins the award. I wouldn't make a big deal about it one way or the other.
On the way out here, how do you think New York did this week? I was there since Thursday. I like the media events.
Did not like it.
Really?
I thought it was the wrong place for it. I think the city was too big for the Super Bowl. I heard Super Bowl Boulevard was very overrated. The mass transit system in New Jersey could not handle
was a mess.
Games. It was a mess. They got great weather. They got a break there. But I heard Media Day was bad in that Prudential in the Rock. I did not think. Now listen, I was commuting, so it's a little different for a guy who commutes in and out. But from what I heard from everybody who told me, New York did. It really wasn't anybody's fault, but it was not the right place for the Super Bowl. I don't think anybody did. I don't think New York did anything wrong, and they got a good break with the weather. But I think the whole aspect of in New York City, the city's too big. Half the people in New York don't care about the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl needs to be in cities where the whole focal point is the Super Bowl. New York, the whole focal point is not the Super Bowl. So I would think that I don't think they're going to come back here again. It was worth a try. They wanted to reward Mara. They wanted to reward Woody Johnson. It had nothing to do with 9/11. They wanted to reward the two owners who built the stadium, and they did. So we give them credit for that, and they had good weather, but I don't think it's the right play. I think the city's too big for the event. I really do.
Last one here, and the real reason we had you on today is because I want to get the inside scoop on Springsteen. When will be the next time you'll be standing on your chair for Rosalita screaming, "Is anybody alive out here?" Is he coming back on tour in the U.S. soon?
I wish I knew. I know he's going to Australia and New Zealand soon. I don't know when we'll see him again in America. He's got that new album out, which is, he wants to go to Australia and New Zealand. I mean, I don't know. I would think next summer, but who knows? I mean, nothing has been announced. They usually announce that sooner. But you thought next summer, but not the case. So I don't have an answer for you right now on that. I really don't.
And Jake's done a good job replacing Clarence. We appreciate a few minutes today. Mad Dog Russo, happy birthday to your wife, and let's get you on again real soon.
Good job, boys. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Christopher Mad Dog Russo of Sirius XM. We'll take a quick break, and when we get back, former Seattle Seahawks and Denver Broncos player Nico Kudavidas will join us.